right, welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for Emery Unified for October 25th, 2017. At this time, may I have a roll call, please?
You caught Lisa with her mouth full. One second.
Oh, I don't know the order you're running. Okay. All right. I'm just going to, sorry, I don't know the order she goes in. Member Langner.
Here.
Member Vargas. Here. Member Merriam.
Here.
Member Inch.
Here.
Member Collins is absent. And we have our one student member. Are we expecting the other student member as well?
I'm not sure. They're at the game.
Oh, they're at the volleyball game? Okay. Sure. Great. And Member Solis, do we call Member Solis' name as well? Do you call?
Yes.
Member Solis.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to item number 2. That's the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll stand. And for those who are not wanting to, you may stand or sit as well.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time
President,
is public comment.
President Marion, can you just also clarify for the public that we can have members coming
I'm
behind?
sorry. I'd like to reiterate policy that please refrain from stepping behind the dais. If you like to approach, please approach in public comment regarding any topic on the agenda. At this time, this is a public comment for any item that is not on the agenda. Not at this time. This time is for public comment. I'm sorry. We'll move on to the next item if there's no other public comment.
Okay, there's no, I can't get a connect, the district's Wi-Fi is not working.
I've turned it off, Mr. Donahue. I'm just kidding.
Could you please stop interrupting? Okay. There's a state law I was going to read to you, but I can't because the website's not working. A state law that says, California state law is part of the California Constitution that the 5 of you swore an oath to withhold. The state law says, and I can't quote it right now because of the problem with the Wi-Fi, but the state law says that members of the public are allowed to criticize school district employees in the state of California. So you swore an oath to defend that. So I have the right to criticize school district employees, except if you listen to Superintendent John Rubio, the bullshitter, who last meeting...
Could you please refrain from that language?
Could you please not interrupt me? I'm speaking. I'm allowed, entitled to speak. Stop the clock, please.
Mr. Donahue.
Mr. Donahue,
please stop the clock.
Could you please refrain from that language in this forum?
No, it's a legitimate word.
This is a limited public forum. You're not.
No, it's a legitimate word.
It's a limited public forum.
No, it's a form.
I understand we have a student.
Bullshitting is a form of lying. It's a type of lying,
Okay.
and it's an English language word. It's an acceptable word. That's the best word to use. Superintendent is engaging in bullshit.
So we have a student member here.
Sure.
Right, and so it
It's an
appears
English
that you don't.
language word. It's not
I
obscene.
understand there's a lot of words that are
It's not
English
obscene.
language
Please
words.
stop the clock. It's not obscene. It's not obscene. The word shit is obscene, but bullshit is not obscene. It's a type of lying. And and you look it up. Look it up in the dictionary, please. It's not obscene. I'm using that language. It's a legitimate English word. It's not obscene. If you don't like it, I don't care. I'm entitled to use it. I'm legally entitled to use that word. I'm using the word. It's the best word to describe what Superintendent Rubio is doing. He's a bullshitter. He's bullshitting. And let me tell you how he is bullshitting. You can start the clock now. In the last meeting, he got up and he told the 5 of you and the people in the audience that he's going to stop the Emeryville Tattler from criticizing him. And he also said he's going to stop board member Barbara Inch from criticizing him. And he said he's going to also stop city council member Christian Patz from criticizing him. So I got some quotes here from there's on video, and I'm going to put it on my blog, the Emeryville Tattler, and he said that we teach children not to be disrespectful. And he's saying that me and the other two people are being disrespectful and bashing and bullying. He's saying the teachers. Okay, so to Mr. Rubio, I'm not bashing the teachers. I support the teachers. I'm bashing you, Mr. Rubio, because you're a terrible public employee. You have a horrible record, and I don't appreciate you telling me I don't have a constitutional right to criticize your job performance. So I'm here telling you, yes, I am bashing you because you've done a terrible job here at the school district. So he's saying that criticizing is disrespectful and bullying and bashing. That's what criticizing is according to Dr. Rubio. This is a con. Like he's trying to steer the criticism away from himself, and he's using a straw man argument saying that we're disrespecting the teachers or we're like criticizing the teacher. We're not criticizing the teacher. I'm not criticizing. I'm criticizing you, Dr. Rubio, not the teachers. The teachers are fine with me. So and then he's saying that I'm using white privilege.
You're out of time.
Okay, I'm not. Okay,
Please have a seat, Mr. Donahue.
Did you subtract the time where I was interrupted by Mr.
Yes,
Rubio?
your time was
Mr.
paused.
Rubio, the bullshitter. Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right. All right. Come on. Okay, on to the next item, which would be reports. And starting with the ETA, is there a representative from ETA here tonight?
I don't think Mr. Davis was able to make it. I think had a doctor's appointment.
All right. CSEA? Student report.
So next week is Spirit Week for the high school, and we're gonna have each day a Spirit Week. So first, usually each day is different, but Monday, for example, is gonna be Pajama Day, so that's gonna be really fun. On Friday, we're gonna have our homecoming rally and our homecoming dance. That's gonna be November 3rd. Also on the 31st, we're gonna have a college application workshop for our first 2 periods, and that's gonna be alongside with Students Rising Above. So the seniors are gonna have a chance to work on college apps.
All right, thank you. Next one is the superintendent's report.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
I'm sorry, principal's
sorry.
reports.
Sorry,
We have
principal's
that.
report. Thank you. Come on up, principals. Yeah, we did. Anything you want to report on, please come on up.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. So first, I would like to follow up with Board Member Langer regarding the scholarship for students who are applying to college, or the fund for them. So I talked to Dora, and we already have a donation account set up for the high school, and we can have a specific line item that's set aside to deal with students and their college applications. And so we can move forward with that as soon as anyone is ready and is prepared to give Emery High School donations so we can pay for students' college application fees.
How much do we need?
As much as we can get. A lot of my kids want to apply to a lot more colleges than than the fee waiver will allow. So as much money as we have, I'm sure that we can spend. We do need to keep in mind when all of the deadlines are. So the deadline for the early applications for both CSU and UC is November 30th. I'm not sure of the Common App deadline. And then the HBCU, the Black Common App, is rolling for a lot of schools, but that is also already opened. So as soon as we can get this moving, we can definitely start helping kids.
How much is each application and average rough estimate?
So for the CSUs, it's 55. For the UCs, it's 70. The Black Common App is $35, but it's my understanding that you can apply to as many schools as accept that specific common application. I'm not sure about the other Common App. Do you know?
Usually it's 75 for college or something.
75 per college or so for the regular Common App. So it's quite costly.
And as Principal Good and I discussed, and we may have discussed as a group, fee waivers, students are limited to 4 fee waivers. I guess that's across the country, is that right?
The fee waivers generally go for the CSUs and the UCs,
Okay.
and it is limited to 4, yes.
So if students want to apply to more than 4, then it's out of pocket regardless of how much money their family has or ability to pay. So wonderful. I'm really excited to hear about that, and I will certainly be making a contribution myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is there a PayPal account that we can donate to, or what's the best way to
Great.
get funds?
How do we do that? Yeah.
So I think we can actually accept funds in multiple different ways, like money order, check, cash, whatever. Basically, I just turn that money over to Dora, and then Dora puts it into the account that's specified for college apps for Emery High School. And then the back end of it, most likely is I'll just end up paying it with my credit card and then put in for reimbursement because basically we don't have time to cut a check because it's a long process if we want to get a check for that. So that's the fastest way. Most of the applications are online. So that's pretty much what it's going to look like. We can start taking donations as soon as anybody has any.
All right.
Maybe not this year, but I'd love to see some sort of online platform if possible moving forward. I think, like you said, the application deadlines are just right around the corner, so we'll do what we can for now. But the easier we make it for people, the more likely they are to donate money. So,
I think you're absolutely right. And we do have a ton of pictures from all of our college tours.
Wonderful.
And so we were already planning to have an online platform asking for people to support not only our college tours, but also our college application costs. So yeah, we're definitely going to have that in place. I'm going to be talking to Corinne about what that will look like for us because she's younger than me and knows a lot more about online platforms.
thank you for the update.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
I'm a little shorter. Good evening. I'm Eddie Scruggs-Smith, the middle school principal. What I can share and report with you at this moment is, first and foremost, and I think my colleagues are going to speak to this as well, we had the great opportunity to attend Courageous Conversations in Detroit. And I can honestly say I was begrudgingly going, telling Dr. Rubio, no! I'm in the middle of building my school up and getting things together, and I cannot walk away from this. But I have to say that this was one of the greatest opportunities, and I'm so glad that you guys supported this along with Dr. Rubio to make that happen. And it brought me back in a frame of things that I want to do to continue to support my staff, but also a lens that I need to look through to support my students. There was a specific workshop I attended for the assault on Black girls and the historical perspective and what are things that we should do to support them while we give attention to everyone else. It's that invisible piece that made me very passionate about that group, being that I'm connected to them as well. And so that was very powerful. We had today the harvest dance for middle school. They were crying and begging for something different and not to continue to participate with the regular harvest festival. So they had a DJ and crews came and partied with us. Thank you for that. And supplied water, which they need. And it was awesome. They had a really, really good time. We also had the opportunity to have board member Barbara Inch reach out to us, and Sam and I checked in with her today, and it was a great conversation. Thank you for checking in and letting us know that we have your support. We really appreciated the feedback, as well as knowing that we can continue these conversations. We really appreciate that. November 11th. We've been planning for this for a while, but the cheerleaders that are actually on middle school and high school side, we have a competition coming up that will be in Sacramento. I believe it's in Sacramento. And so I'll be driving to Sacramento November 11th, Saturday morning, to support our girls. In that vein, we have collectively, between myself and the high school, students that have started study hall, and so they're tutoring and meeting, and then they go and work out, be it for basketball or track or cheerleading at this point. So, and two, we are starting also with the tutoring after school for all the other students as well. We have students who have been specifically identified that we see at this point with their grades. If we see at this point they need additional support, we've already contacted parents and sent notes home saying your child has been identified as someone who may need this resource. And so the tutoring is happening. Majority of the teachers are tutoring on Tuesdays and Thursdays after school. That's all that I can think of right now. Absolutely more to come.
Your locks?
Yes.
How about the school locks you got?
Oh, yes. We have these awesome school locks that Superintendent Rubio purchased for us. Is completely revolutionary because coming from the high school, we didn't have anything like this. The locks, first of all, have our lion logo on them, but also I have a key to get into them. So the kids were totally ecstatic, and they've been like locker crazy, just wanting to touch and spin them. The sixth graders, I think, had the greatest learning curve, and so I had to spend time in the office in shifts teaching them how to left, right, right, spin all the way around, do a 360, and come back. So they are very appreciative of the locks. They just like, I think, touching the lion on the locks. So the middle school is shaping and forming and coming into its own day by day. It's a great experience. I was sharing, I think, with board member Inch when we were speaking this morning. I leave every day definitely proud of the fact that I'm being able to start this journey and be the first one to be the middle school principal. You can't be sad about anything. When I had a first grader yesterday, I was sharing with Sam, that ran up to me and he questioned me, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm the middle school principal." He says, "Can I have a hug?" And I felt like I had to give him the hug, so I said yes. He hugged me and then he says, "Do you know that you smell good?" And I was like, "Thank you, Emery. I'm home." So it's been a great journey so far. Thank you, Dr. Rubio, for your support. Anything I asked for at this point, he's provided for myself, my students, and the staff. And thank you for being open and being so welcoming and supportive as we move into this new frontier.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Samantha Carter, elementary school principal. So a few things. So today, well, 8th grade had a dance, TK through 5. We had our Harvest Festival. The con, how hot it was. The pro, how adorable those babies were in those costumes, even in that heat. I heard feedback from parents and teachers that this year the Harvest Fest was the most organized they have seen it in their time here at AY, which is huge. So I think today was a really big success. I watched those teachers hustling in that heat, helping set up and shut down after their contracted time. I just really think that we are doing lots of positive things and lots of positive things as a team, which is huge for me. And of course, you know, I always have to do my plug for social media. So the high school pictures of their dance are already on Facebook, or middle school, they look adorable. And then elementary school will be up there as well. I also want to make a plug, since I brought up Facebook, that we have had conversations about potentially using the boosting of posts or the Facebook page. And so yesterday, myself and Corinne, we sat down, we boosted a post, specifically the post for today's event. I know this sounds a little silly, but it got 29 likes in one day. That is like not what has ever happened for one of our posts. It was shared twice. It reached almost 1,000 people, which is bananas, right? Like when we talk about our goals that we were looking at, the last board meeting in regards to publicity and outreach, 1,000 is huge. Also in one day, we have 11 new followers. There were 13 clicks. which means 11 of the 13 now have liked our page and are following us, which for me means that there's more parents, more community members that are actually tapped into the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm actually posting, since I'm at my house from my bed, putting all these posts and pictures, etc. The fact that it's not just me and my mother liking the posts anymore. Yes, my mother has been liking the posts for me. Oh, and Shalvina, yes, and Malcolm has before too, absolutely. But for me, just knowing that, again, it is the community being able to see all the beautiful things that we're doing and the parents getting the information that is occurring at our site is huge. So I just have to make a really positive plug for that. Thank you for pushing Board Member Cruz in a positive manner to use that resource, because otherwise I just would have not understood really the positive effect it could have on us. And then just as a fun update, upcoming event is Friday. Both myself and the middle school, we are having our assemblies. So we stated earlier in the year that we are no longer having Friday assemblies every Friday. They only happen once a month. So I do announcements every Friday, but we do not do assemblies. So middle school and elementary school are having their assemblies on Friday, which also means that they will have their student of the month. I will have my student of the week. And then TK through 8, we will have our second ice cream social. And I know it sounds a little silly, but the babies really are very, very happy to earn that ice cream, just like another way of publicly acknowledging all their hard work. So if you are free on this Friday, it's gonna be warm. I buy the good ice cream. You are more than welcome to come join us. But that's just another plug in regards to all the positive things we're doing and just another way of positively acknowledging our students. Thank you.
What time is the ice cream?
Oh yeah, sorry. So it is 1 o'clock. So we have, between middle school and elementary school, we have lunches between 10:30 and 1 o'clock, 10:35 and 1 o'clock. So we will start here in the Walhalla area, 1 o'clock to 1:20. They'll get their ice cream, they'll play basketball. It's just super positive. Come join us.
Harvest
Thank you.
Fest.
Well, thank you all for your efforts. Oh, you have another thing?
I'm sorry, 2 more things that I forgot. The first is that for the first time in recent memory, the Spartans girls volleyball team is 7-2, and I'm not sure if they won today or not, so we might be 8-2, fingers crossed. And we applied also to host the playoffs here at ECCL. So cross your fingers, go Lady Spartans. Second thing is our debate team. Our debate team never gets enough credit. This weekend, I went to go see some of our debaters in action. Your student board members came in third in the bottle tournament this weekend. We had a lower division team, a 9th grader, one of whom is actually related to one of our student board members, who also came in third in her division. One of our other JV debaters came in and he broke the top 15. So I just want to say shout out to the Emery High School debate team. They rock it on a regular basis and they do not get enough credit. And I just want to say that I appreciate you and I appreciated Ms. Critchlow today at the collaboration meeting. They are doing incredible work. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on to the board superintendent's report.
Yes, good evening. The first thing I'd like to do is ask Ms. Knight and Mr. Wall if they wouldn't mind coming up, and wanted to give them an opportunity to share. They were with the principals and myself in Detroit, looking at issues of race and equity and white privilege. Appreciate it.
Good evening. I'm Shalvina Knight, first grade teacher. The Courageous Conversation Summit was transformative for me as a teacher. Courageous Conversations protocol calls on us to stay within 6 conditions, with the first condition being focusing on personal, local, and immediate. And this is the condition in which I will speak from. My pre-session work that I did at the summit was titled Toward Culturally Relevant Teaching Using Critical Race Theory to Establish Cultural Relevance Between Teachers and Students in the Racially Complex Classroom. This session had me reflecting on how I can refashion my teaching philosophies and practices to ensure that I am culturally relevant for all my students and also holding scholastic excellence for them. Zaretta Hammond, she's the author of a book entitled Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain, Promoting Authentic Engagement and Rigor Among Culturally and Linguistically Diverse Students. She said, culturally responsive teaching isn't a set of engagement strategies. So we didn't go there to just learn a strategy on how to do it. And you don't use it on students. Instead, think of it as a mindset, a way of looking at the world. Too often we focus on only doing something to the students without changing ourselves. And I can say that my change has begun. And thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Malcolm Waugh, kindergarten teacher. I'm really grateful for that experience, attending the Courageous Conversations Summit. Quick background, our two-day training with one of the members of the Pacific Education Group, Dr. Lori Watson, I was highly impressed with her, and so I told superintendent, if we are going to have any, if the Pacific Education Group is going to have any connection with our school, I would love to be in on it. That's how I came to be one of the teachers that could attend. I really did feel through most of the experience, I wished our entire staff could have attended. And I was thinking also all the way along, actually, as we got there, how are we going to translate this to the school? How are we going to bring back? I imagine being someone who is reported back to. We meet a staff meeting, someone comes back and says, I had a powerful and profound experience. And I would think, well, how does that help our school? But those are the words I would use. It was a powerful and profound experience. I had the general sensation of my whole life and experience and a lot of my past reading floated and interconnecting. So I was sort of taken, I wasn't able to give specifics when we would meet in the evening and share our experiences. It was just so much going on. And in choosing what to share here, I had a hard time picking. So just three points. First is I could not take notes fast enough. And I missed a lot. And I felt frustrated going back to my room the same afternoon, being emotionally exhausted and trying to transcribe my notes and just not being able to do it. So I was very relieved to find out from the videographer on the last day that everything had been recorded. All the, not everything, all the main stage events. Glenn Singleton has these very high caliber speakers come. It was all recorded. The videographer said at some point they would be made available, so those presentations are available to the entire staff. I feel really good about that, as well as good for myself, because a lot that I missed I can go back to. Lots of impressive people, both personally and learning through presentations, but my outstanding highlight is meeting one of the hosts from previous summits. Her name is Darnisa Amante. Just by luck, I happened to sit next to her at one of the lunches. You know, the usual, where are you from? She's from Boston. I'm from Emeryville. What do you do? I'm a kindergarten teacher. And she said, oh, that's great. You're doing the best work. You're really doing important work. And I said, oh, thank you. That's kind of you to say. And she said, no, I really mean that. And that started a conversation which was, I was just entranced by her, to the point where I noticed that the room was empty. We were the only two left at the tables, and they wanted to get us out. But what was engaging is I found out that she is involved in developing curriculum, introducing race and equity issues aimed at the earliest possible, kindergarten. That's where we really made our connection there. So I'm connected with her. She now is a resource, I believe, for the school guidance for this, because we don't know how to introduce it very early on. She did let me know that the basic approach, the basic procedure is it's introduced to the teachers first. It's not put curriculum in the teacher's lap and then go in the classroom. It's introduce it to the teachers first, then the parents, then the classroom. So that to me is I feel good about, given the amount of money that the district spent to send the 7 of us there, that's where we can get some back, having met this remarkable, really remarkable person. And just to add one thing about her background, she had a difficult road, a difficult life road, and she is now this model of robustness and positivity and change. And I spent quite a bit of time asking her, how did you do it? How did you get there? She just got her doctorate from Harvard. She was told by her, I think it was an early elementary school teacher, I forget the grade, but basically, no, you can't do that. Chocolatey little girls like you don't do that. They just have kids. So I asked her about some response to how she got there. And a big piece, at least, is having her being informed early, very early. She sounds like she had remarkable parents. At the point at which her parents understood that she was going to go somewhere, they told her, "You're going to go somewhere where we don't know what's going to happen. You're going to be very different, and that's okay." She got that support from her parents. She was told it's okay if where you go, it changes you so much that we don't know. She was given that support. And she had an experience with her grandfather. Her grandfather was driving. They were stopped by police officers driving his own car, and the police officer basically accused him of, who'd you steal this car from? It was an unpleasant experience. She was in the car at the time. I don't recall how old, but quite young. And as soon as the police officer had left, her grandfather addressed her. "You know what just happened here?" And he explained to her what had happened. So she, very early on, had a picture of the realities of the world. I think that has a piece in how she's extraordinary anyway. She has other virtues, but I think that was an important piece, that she had both parents and grandparents who taught her early in apparently the right way. So she's very well positioned to develop this curriculum that she's working on. And my takeaway is that I agree with her. I think she's right. I think the earlier the better. I think the earlier the better, as long as it's done right. There's no way I would on my own, I'm going to try and introduce that without a lot of support. And I think she's going to be the main support for that. And I'll add to that a reason why I agreed with her is that in the course of the conversation I said, yes, I remember a report of research, I think it was done in University of Colorado, where health service sent nurses to visit expectant mothers, and it was a very minimal intervention. Visits by nurses to expectant mothers and a sequence of follow-up visits. And that very minimal intervention, very early on, apparently led to cascading positive effects down the road. I can send you the paragraph. Anyway, I sent that to her because I referred to it. But I really do believe that the earlier the better. She herself said, well, if you wait until high school to introduce the issues of race and equity, you know, you're making it harder. The earlier, the better. So, thanks very much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. It's a great witness to that as far as experiencing, and I'm glad to hear the great feedback on that. And I believe the board supports your efforts and the entire staff's efforts of implementing what you can from what you've learned.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would just add to their comments, and I really appreciate the team being there, having us time. I know it was hard for all of us to be away with family and work and everything, so I really do appreciate it. And we have a lot of work to continue to do. Building on the comments that were already made, some of my takeaways were that the change really begins with how we treat one another, right? In our own development, can we find it within our own development to have a mindset where we support one another, and that really seems to me to take being respectful of one another, respectful discourse, if we truly want to help one another. And so, you know, I appreciate that and how we're all developing and improving that, I hope, for our school district and our community. I would add just on my update that we had a great meeting this week with representatives of Aim High. Aim High has, I believe, about 12 to 15 programs in the Bay Area. We were approached a couple years ago by actually a board member over from EBI across the street here who is on the board of EBI and was a parent EBI and also is on the board of Aim High. And on and off we've been talking to them over the last year or two. And we had a representative from Wareham Development there who is, and Wareham's really ready to support and match our contribution. And so we believe we may be 2/3 of the way there financially to establish an Aim High program, so I will be bringing more information back to the board as that develops. And I want to say thanks for a great job on Harvest Fest today. Teachers were running games. I don't recall which games you guys were running, but I saw darts being thrown and pumpkins being used for tic-tac-toe and some great face painting. A big shout out to our amazing parents. I know that Diane Mack and her team were really going at it, and we really appreciate all that support. And tomorrow morning, I will be on an airplane with two of our teachers, Mr. Rowe and Ms. Tom. We'll be at Yale for the next couple of days, continuing to strengthen our partnership with Yale. And we'll be with teachers from the School District of Philadelphia and some school districts in Delaware and Pittsburgh and Oklahoma, and I think maybe San Jose, where teachers will present their curriculum units that they developed with Yale professors, increasing their expertise in the Common Core over last summer. So we're excited to keep that partnership going, and it's really great to see all the teachers present their new curricular units. I think Mr. Rowe did the science of cooking, and I'm trying to recall, Ms. Tom presented to us, I believe she did math, but now I can't recall. Or was it literacy? It was literacy, I'm sorry. So we'll be at Yale tomorrow, on our way to Yale tomorrow morning. And the last thing I'd like to say is I just would like to remind everybody, our school board meetings are a limited public forum. We do, as a board, have a reasonable time and place and manner for regulations. We don't have any general prohibition on content, and we welcome criticism. And we know that there's a difference between harmful criticism and helpful criticism. And I'm going to do my best to keep encouraging people, whether they're staff or community members, to give us helpful criticism, because we can take helpful criticism and we can use it. And our staff and myself, we're going to do our best to continue to model what that looks like for students, because I think that's what we want our students to understand and learn as they're growing up. So I just wanted to share that as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Rubio. At this time, Board President does not have a report, so we'll move on to item 5.1, which would be under the consent calendar, out of the 5.1 through 5.4. Would any item like to be pulled for further discussion?
I'd like to pull 5.4.
Any others? I'd like to pull 5.3. If that's the case, then we'll move to item 5.1 and 5.2.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, who moved?
Motion.
Vargas, Langner, second.
Member Ball? Oh, she's not here. I'm sorry. Member Solis?
Yes.
Member Inch?
Yes.
Member Langner?
Yes.
Member Vargas?
Yes.
President Merriam?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. That's item 5.1 and 5.2. Item 5.3, I'd like to poll just for slight correction. Under that item was having to do with Pledge of Allegiance. We unfortunately did not do that, so could you strike that from being executed? And that's all I have for that item. So if I have a motion as amended, morning minutes as amended.
I'll second.
All right.
You made the motion?
So do I need to make the motion?
You want to make the motion?
I'll move as amended.
And I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Member Solis?
Yes.
Member Inch?
Yes.
Member Langner?
Yes.
Member Vargas?
Yes.
President Merriam?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. And item 5.4, personnel actions.
Wait, I just have a quick question. Did we have a, did we perform an exit interview for this person?
I'm happy to say that we did. Yes. We did. We did a formal exit interview where she responded to a number of questions, and we just gave Ms. Good a copy. I don't think Ms. Good has had a chance yet to look it over, but staff will always look at the feedback, and we'll use that feedback from the exit interviews.
That is great to hear.
Yeah. Thanks.
Any other comments pertaining to that action item or discussion item? If not, then motion for item to accept item 5.4.
I'll move.
I will second that. Roll call, please.
Member Solis?
Yes.
Member Inch?
Yes.
Member Langner?
Yes.
Member Vargas?
Yes.
President Merriam?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Now on to item 6, discussion and action items. Item 6.1 is the ACCL warranty update.
Yes, we have Brad with us again this evening. Brad, we appreciate you being here to give the board an update and a community update on how we're doing on the warranty items.
Thank you, John. Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brad Helfenberger. I'm the Youth and Adult Services Manager with the City of Emeryville. One of my roles here at the ECCL has been to manage the warranty for the entire site. And I attended the board meeting 4 weeks ago on September the 27th. Gave an update. We had several people in the room from the general contractor, the project manager, the architect, who were all here in the room, and we discussed issues pertaining to the warranty. The conversation led to the board's request that they get kind of a scaled down version of what the warranty list is, specifically for me to call out what work has been completed between the last board meeting the last September board meeting and tonight. And so I've done that. I took the large warranty list that I gave you last time. I took out all of the items that had already been completed prior to that meeting, and I've divided them up so that you can see plainly before you which items were resolved and which items were worked on. And the board packet went out earlier this week. There's actually been a few updates since then that I'd like to just outline for you briefly. So in addition to the items in green that are the items that were completed between September 27th and today, item on the yellow section, item number 91, which is the Building D first floor hallway. I actually checked on that just before this meeting and saw that it was complete. So that item is complete. Item 94, Building A and B, the knocking pipes issue. The issue is actually much more pronounced in Building A than it was in Building B. Anyone who's been in there for a meeting that's lasted more than an hour when the Kinder Buddies room was being used knows that there is a loud knocking sound every time the toilet gets flushed, and the pipe would jump about 6 inches or so. The plumbers were here on Monday, just 2 days ago, and they installed a significant amount of additional bracing on that pipe. The plumber who was here actually said that he installed enough bracing on that, in his opinion, for a building 4 times that size. So it has significantly improved the situation in that building. So Building A knocking pipe is now resolved. The building B knocking pipe is going to be, that's actually the staff restroom that has a similar action, though the pipe's behind the wall so we can't see it. But it makes a loud banging sound every time someone flushes a toilet. The plumbers are going to be back out here on Friday, November 10th. And the delay in that was actually to accommodate us because that bathroom is heavily used by staff during the day. And November 10th is the date that Veterans Day is being observed. And so they did that to accommodate us. So it's going to be resolved on that date. Item 98, mislabeled electrical panels. The subs has responded on that, although the item hasn't been completed yet, but it's going to be in the near future. I don't have a date yet. And then finally, item 99, we've also had a response from the subcontractor who did the original work, and they're going to be out on site shortly to complete that work. So that's my warranty update. I'd happy to entertain any questions.
I have one quick question. Well, first, thank you for divvying these up. This is really useful and helpful in understanding the progress we've made, and this is more progress than I think we've seen in past meetings, or at least it's more apparent from the way it's organized. My question is, I see there are 2 items in yellow sort of under that first category, and it's 90 and 96. Have those items been fixed, or are those part of the yellow not yet fixed category?
Originally, when I redesigned this checklist, I put them in with the green category because some work had been done on them, but the work is not complete. So as of right now, those items are as they are on the list. So work has begun on those items, but there's still more work that needs to be done. Most of the priming has been completed. It's waiting for a coat of paint.
Wonderful, and I find that distinction helpful, so thank you for doing that as well.
Just want to echo back that message about this new layout. Thank you for taking the time to do this. Just to relay what Member Langer said, it helps us better understand the progress that's been made. So again, thank you for that. I'm sure there was progress before, but this way it's just much more visible for us and much easier to understand. So thank you for that. I had a quick question. Do you feel like you need, I know we spoke about a deadline for most of the items to be completed soon. Do you need anything from us to help meet that deadline?
Well, I feel that everyone was in the room here on September 27th. We had a commitment from Turner at that meeting that they were going to get all of these items complete by December 5th. I'm in continual contact with Andrew Pitts, who's the project manager from Turner, and he's generally very responsive about any item that I report. Usually when I send him emails, he'll respond to me in a matter of minutes. And if there is a particular item on this list that he feels will not be able to be resolved by the December 5th deadline, I'm sure he'll let me know that. And as I said, he and I are in frequent communication, and I also sent him a copy of this list as it's done now, so that it's also more apparent to him. He's keeping another list on his own internally, and we compare notes frequently. So I believe at this point we're in pretty good shape, but I will not hesitate to seek the board's assistance if I feel it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
Please do. I have one more question. I know that the bottom section says issues still waiting work from Turner. Is this separate attachment? Are these all the remaining items, or are there more items?
That's correct. The items in yellow are all the items that are remaining.
So aside from this specific page, there are no additional items that have been reported that have not?
Well, there have been 1 or 2 that I haven't had time to add to this list that were just brought to my attention just this week.
Fair
but
enough.
minor issues like a water fountain not working that we just need to have fixed, so things like that.
Fair enough. Thank you again.
Oh, I'm going to ask at this time, we'd like to have public comment pertaining to this item. Please step up at the podium.
Okay, to the board president again, please run the meetings the way you're supposed to. It's supposed to be presentation, clarifying questions from the board, public comment, then your substantive debate and discussion. Please run the meetings that way. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Okay, so I noticed here on the list, What's left off is a huge item from last time, which were the sticking doors. We were told there's several of them. And we were told it was because the building is settling. That's pretty alarming. And then suddenly now they're not on this list at all. They're not being fixed. They didn't get fixed. They're not supposed to be fixed. They're not on there. So Dr. Rubio, the superintendent, was really chagrined at me pointing this out, that the fact that buildings should not be settling, and he poo-pooed that. And so I have to assume that that's the reason why it's not on this list, because Dr. Rubio posited himself in here and perhaps expunged this from the list, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to let him tell us. Why aren't the sticking doors on there? What's the final answer on the building settling? Because that's what the official reason given. He was poo-pooing that, but that is the official reason. So which then brings me to the fact that you can't criticize Mr. Rubio. If you do, he cries foul. He says that.
Mr. Donahue, if this is not about the
Could you
warranty
please
list,
stop interrupting?
I'm
Yes,
going
it's
to,
about the warranty list.
I'm going to interrupt.
Could you stop interrupting me? I'm allowed to. The state mandates that I'm allowed to speak during this time.
About
the state
this
of
topic.
California has
That's
a
right.
constitution
Please
which
continue, Mr.
mandates that I'm allowed.
Mr.
Could you
Donahue,
please
please
stop the
continue.
clock? Could you please stop the clock?
Mr. Donahue, please
Stop
continue.
the clock, please. Okay, keep the clock. You have to let the public speak during the public speaking. You can't interrupt. You have the microphone all the rest of the time.
Please continue.
You have to let us speak when it's our time to speak. You swore an oath to support
Please
the
continue your
California Constitution,
conversation.
and the California Constitution says that we get to speak uninterrupted. Do you please stop interrupting the public? Mr. Rubio, who I'm saying right now will not accept criticism about this subject. Because criticism he calls bullying, and he calls it, like, what other words has he used? It's disrespectful, he says to him. But listen to this. This comes from the state of California. This is Government Code 54954.3. Could you please stop interrupting? Mr. Rubio, could you please stop?
If we need to take a recess, we can
No,
do
please
it.
stop interrupting.
Take a recess, please.
You have to obey the law. I request that you obey the law.
Opening back up. Mr. Donahue, you have 30 seconds remaining if you'd like to continue your comment, and please remain on topic pertaining to that comment. If not, I will have to ask you to please excuse yourself from the
I
podium.
would like everybody here to familiarize themselves with the Brown Act. Stop interrupting the public from speaking. That's what I want you to do. We have our 3 minutes. You can reduce it to 1 minute if you choose. The law provides you reducing it to 1 minute, but you have to do it in a fair and equitable manner. You can do that, but you can't stop and you can't interrupt the public. You cannot do. Go read the law. That's all I want. Read the Brown Act. And Ms. Langner, she's an attorney. She should know. So read the Brown Act. Follow the Brown Act. Let people speak here as the law allows them to do.
Okay. Any other public comment?
About this topic?
Oh, yeah, about the subject, about the ECCL warranty update.
And Brad, did you want to say anything about the question? There was a question. It's fine if you want to answer the question. I think the
Sure.
board
Well,
will
there
be
was a
happy.
question about the item that doesn't appear on this list, which was initially identified. Well, the issue is that the doors on the first floor, exterior doors of Building C, were sticking. And in my original list, I had put the reason that the warranty was denied, it was because of building settlement. This is really a working document, so I put my own notes in here, and then, copies of it get to the board. And it's just how the process has been working. The actual cause of that issue hasn't yet been determined. But the reason it doesn't appear on the list is because our staff on site have resolved the immediate issue in the interim. As Mr. Waugh, I believe, can attend to, since he is in one of those classrooms, those doors are now all working. And we're continuing to have Turner investigate what the underlying cause is. But for now, the issue is resolved, which is why it's not on this list. I chose to remove from this list. It wasn't Dr. Rubio.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. This is just an update, so we can move on to the...
No,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I wasn't allowed time. I was going to ask a couple questions, follow-up questions to things that you had said. you are working with the subcontractors yourself, or you tell Turner, you said you had made the appointment with them for them to come here, the plumbers. How much of your time is this taking, and what's the normal average item look like? You talk to somebody at Turner, they send someone, what does it look like?
Most of the time, it's very simple. I get a report, or I notice something myself. I take a picture of it, if it's me, and at some point during the week, I'll dedicate some time to the warranty. I generally send them in spurts. I'll send Turner, 4, 5, 6 things at once. I'm probably spending about an hour or 2 a week on it at this point. The process is very simple. I send an email to Turner. I tell them what the problem is. They'll either say, yes, it's a warranty item, we'll send a sub to take care of it, or no, this is not a warranty item, and here's why.
Okay, so as far as scheduling things, you just happen to be aware of the situation for that particular day to tell them to not have somebody come on that particular day.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so
They
that's
work
not
with
the
Ron
norm.
and I. So Ron generally works directly with the subs in terms of gaining access to the facility. Sometimes I assist with scheduling, and partially that's because of my role with the city in scheduling facilities. I'm privy to what activities are going on in a given area at a given time, so it makes sense for me to assist with that scheduling.
Okay, thank you.
Don,
Yeah.
this isn't really a Brad, I'm sorry, the Brad issues, those aren't, and that door.
I'll adjust that door, Barbara. I'll do it. Okay.
Thank you.
So this is, I don't think, a question pertaining to you because you're just reporting the items and updating them. Any strategy, what's going on with the red items? Have we given up?
What's that under? What's the category it's under? Unresolved items.
Yeah. Are we just going to say?
Well, these are items that, as of the moment, Turner is claiming that they're not responsible for, and we're determining whether or not that's true. And if, in fact, Turner is not responsible for them, then the city and the school district will need to determine what the next course of action will be.
Oh, okay.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Information only, but it was a good update. Thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Item 6.2, which is procedures for addressing student tardiness and parking issues.
Yes, as I recall, the board had some interest in having more information from Ms. Carter and Ms. Scruggs-Smith regarding the new tardy policies and how parking was going. And ladies, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the microphone and just updating the board on anything, just to give us more information. And thank you.
Are there any specific questions about the tardy policy?
I have one.
Yes.
I would like to get your thoughts to see whether it's working.
That's a great question. I would say at this point, we had this discussion this morning with board member Inch, and I would say at this point, we are seeing that it is working. One of the things that I pointed out this morning, and my colleague will share as well, right now, I believe the overall piece is mindset, and that we really have to get the parents on board with, we need the babies on time, why we need them on time, but at this point, it's pushing the piece of holding them accountable, of getting the babies here, so that we can continue to develop and shape that culture. And one thing, and Sam can speak more to this, one thing we're seeing, because I think it's possibly more parents on the elementary side that come in with their kids to get the slips in the morning, and the parents who, for lack of a better word, have been repeat offenders, you know, they get to the point where they don't want to have to show up and get that slip anymore. And so, yes, it is having an impact. Even the students pressing on their parents going, I want to be on time, or students being on time and then wanting to be acknowledged that, hey, I'm on time today. So again, in my opinion, we're working on mindset and having that shift in the culture that it's an expectation. And at this point, we're keeping the expectation high. We can't say, you know, one of the things I think that came up at one point was, there are other schools that have a grace period, and we need, give us a 10-minute grace period. Well, we know if we said, okay, you can show up at 8:40, that would probably really be 8:45, 8:50, 9 o'clock. So we're towing the line and holding it and taking all the shade at this point that's coming in the door. But they're meeting us with the high expectations that we have of them. And at this point, we're not going to change it because we all as a community, the adults in the community, have to do better for the sake of our students.
Okay, the shade is decreasing, right? If people know this is what the line is, you stop throwing shade because you know that shade can't go anywhere. So I will say honestly that as of late, we have not heard negative comments. I will also say that the parents that did have questions about the policy, one, they are asking us about it. Just informally or at coffee with the principals, we are standing our ground because it is important to start our day off on time, on a positive foot, and to ensure that those babies are getting all access to their educational minutes. Educational minutes start at 8:31. We need to hold them to 8:31. Not to mention that we're talking about life skills, right? You don't get passes for showing up when you want. There's an expectation, and we are setting that ground up TK through 8 on our campus. I will also say the parents that have shown some concerns along the way, they're not tardy. They are not. And as the person who is outside in front of that school every morning, I am making sure to praise the parents who were tardy and no longer have been tardy, right? Students and adults need positive praise. They need positive reinforcement, and I am doing that. I am applauding them. Thank you. I appreciate it. I see that you are working hard. I know that many of our parents are coming from Richmond, etc. Our principal, I know that traffic in the Bay is not the easiest thing to navigate, and so I'm making sure that I'm also applauding that they are doing what it takes to get their children here on time. A couple things, like one, I have 2 little girls. They had been late pretty frequently, and all this week they have been on time. And Monday and Tuesday, I made sure to be like, look at you, good job. Wow, 2 days in a row. And then today I was helping someone get out of their car, so I had my back to the girls, and they were on time again. So they made sure to be like, Miss Carter, because they wanted that positive praise. They and their parents are working hard to get here on time, but they know that I'm going to acknowledge them. So I think that's huge. I want to also point out that a few weeks ago, we had met in regards to the uniform policy, seeing that like people were really thinking that maybe uniforms were not always essential every day. And so we decided, hey, we needed to also send out a notice to parents, just again, hey, here's the procedure, here's the policy, et cetera, et cetera. And we also stated, hey, if you do not come to school in uniform at 9 o'clock. And again, we were very clear about what the expectation was. I gotta tell you, I thought we were going to have lots of kids or lots of parents, you know, that were going to potentially like struggle or come with concerns. Do you know they didn't? Because again, we held a very clear expectation with that tardy policy, and I think it set a clear expectation that moving forward, we are going to be consistent. Moving forward, if we say something, the school is going to hold us accountable to that. We have not had concerns, nor have I even had people say anything to us. So again, I'm really seeing a shift, like she was saying, in school culture and mentality, and I think the tardy policy just really has set the tone for how we will proceed. There were comments around parking, et cetera. So again, I'm out there every day. It really is gonna take a village, right? All of us using the crosswalk, right? On time, all of those things. And again, I'm just really making sure to positively reinforce the parents and the kids. I don't want to argue with parents in the morning, right, or tell them that they're wrong. That's not a way that they want to start their day, nor do I want to start my day with parent interactions like that. So I really am just every day, if there is something that is incorrect, as they're walking back, I'm just saying, and tomorrow we're going to use the crosswalk, right? Or tomorrow, can you help me by please? And they're like, oh, yes. I will. And so, again, little by little, I do believe that we are working together to get the things like the parking or the drop-off just smoother really day by day. Yeah. Anything else specific to it?
Any questions? I just have a comment. I just want to say thank you for everything you guys are doing. You know, the culture and climate at Annie Yates seems to improve and improve and improve, and I don't think it's ever been this positive among parents and the staff in 3.5 years. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, I'm going to ask for public comment if there is any. Okay. Thank you so much for your time and your comments.
I also want to say thank you for helping us build a stronger community. It shows. It's starting to show already. Thank you very much.
I also wanted to ask about the high school side, drop off and pick up at the high school side, how that's going. And while I'm thinking about it, I don't see a lot of school zone signs around. Like when I did come to visit, I was on that side, and maybe there's one, but it's not that obvious. I don't see a lot of school zone.
Like a generic triangular sign saying
The signs
school
that you
zone.
normally see in school zones, but that's,
Mhm.
I don't want to.
Okay, so what we have done this year in the high school is for 1 week of perfect attendance meaning you are on time to every period, every class, every day for a full week. Then you earn off-campus lunch for the following Friday. And so what we've seen is students being incredibly motivated to be on time. We generally have between about 60 and 80 kids who earn off-campus lunch on any given week, which is really good. That's over 1/3 of our student population. And when you keep in mind that when you just get one single tardy, it kicks you off that list. Like when we say perfect, we mean literally perfect. If you are sick and you have an excused absence, that's fine, but you're still not getting off-campus lunch. Off-campus lunch means every day, every period, on time. And they've been really, really, really good. They've been really responsible. They leave on time. They get back on time. The very first week, we had 3 little freshman girls who went to go get burritos, and they literally called me on my cell phone, and they were like, "Miss Good, our burritos are taking forever. We're going to be a couple minutes late." They came running back, and they said, "You know what, Miss Good, we're going to call in our order next week because they take too long to get our food, and we don't want to be late." So we have not had any issues around student behavior. I have not been contacted by any of our local vendors or anything regarding behavior. I haven't heard or seen of anything negative when they've been out in public. I've only seen kids really starting to hustle. We had a really weird phenomenon in the beginning of the year where students started actually going back to class after lunch even before the bell rang. We didn't question it. We were like, okay, gift from God. We will roll with that. So they have been really, really, really excellent. What we're working on now is really putting some interventions into place for students who struggle to get to school. Not so much the tardies, but the ones who we have like habitual absence issues with. So we do make contact with families. We do try to get them additional supports. Part of the struggle around additional supports, though, is that they generally are offered at school. And if the initial issue is that students aren't coming, then it's really hard to offer them supports to help them actually get here. So we, I think, are doing very well. Regarding the school zone signs, I think that's out of my purview. I'm not sure
Okay,
if
I
that's
was
something
just
that I
gonna
handle. But I've never noticed any either. But since we don't have a lot of traffic coming on 47th, it really hasn't been an issue. We don't have a lot of pickup and drop off since our kids are a little older. Most of them come by themselves, by bus or bike or walking or whatever. So that part hasn't been a big issue for us.
That's good to know. Thank you.
It just reminded me of something. Students and teachers, when they show ID, they'll get a 10% discount at Grato Burger. They'll get a 10% discount at Patata's Kitchen. It's also 3 blocks away. And I'm working on more.
All right, thank you.
All right.
And would you repeat the 2 locations? I'm sorry, I missed the first one.
Grotto Burger,
Grotto
2 blocks
Burger?
away. No,
Okay.
Grotto Burger.
Okay.
Ask for Pepe.
You have to say it like a white man. So. Grotto Burger.
Ask for Pepe. And then Marcos, the owner of Patatas Kitchen.
Thank you.
Also.
Wonderful.
offers 10%.
And is there a pretty simple way to get that out to the students?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, great to hear that. I do have just something to add to that. I know I think we were emailed from one of the teaching staff pertaining to parking and as far as available parking for staff. Now, has that been addressed in any way? Have they come forward to you and are you working on I'm sorry, are you?
So we have facilities meeting with the city folks, and the city folks are kind of doing the heavy lifting on this one. But yes, we are in the midst of getting permitting in place. Okay. And also the city folks are contacting the other city folks to try to come and do ticketing after the permits are in place. So, and what we've noticed is we know where the other cars are coming from. And trying to address it also with those entities. So their employees or people who may be coming to use specific facilities are not taking the parking that's generally needed for the teachers.
All right, I thought you'd take care of it, so just wanted to check. Thanks. All right, we can move on to the next item, and that is, forgive me here. What's that?
Future agenda. Thank you.
It's future agenda items, and we'll move into that, and that is a list that's ebbing and flowing, I guess. I know we've taken care of some in the past, but as far as the one, let's say, I'm going to read them off, so bear with me. Item 1 is how to promote more communication with the community, including students, families, and stakeholders. I just want to add, your Facebook pages have actually been wonderful to see that. I want to hear more from the elementary side, the K-8, if that's possible. I've got Miss Good, she got me tagged on Facebook, so I want to make sure that I get information from the elementary school, the K-8. So the second is the college and career work at the high school. I think Ms. Good has touched upon that, but we want further information on that as far as what's the tour that was taken by the students, both the local tour and the statewide tour. So we're anxiously awaiting reports from that. All right. Okay, great.
So next, I'm just going to repeat what you said for the case it didn't get picked up. So next meeting, we'll go ahead and do that one in November. Great, thank you.
Okay. Item 3 is Emery go around, and I think this is a conversation with the board before taking it to the city schools meeting. We've got a little time on this. I know that we have city schools meeting in January, I think it is. And so I think we can formulate something as far as our conversation for that time. Number 4 is enrollment per grade level. Years students that has attended EUSD Emery resident. That is probably more important than the 4th item. So I think we should probably move that up if that's possible. Item 5 is art teachers will provide reasons and recommendations. I'm trying to remember what exactly that was dealing with. Then SAFG is explore expanding, which is the science. What was the
Adventures for Girls.
Yes. And then 7 is restorative justice, very important. 8 is reviewing sexual harassment policy revisions. 9 is Aim High program, which I believe we touched upon this evening, but I believe needs further explanation and further involvement. Item 10 is exit interviews.
We can take that one off, it looks like, I think.
Yeah, but keep at it. 11 is findings from COC reports. The superintendent will provide recommendations. The COC report should be coming up soon for this year, so we should be getting any findings from them. And then 12 is better access to the agenda online. Maybe a link would help, and maybe this is more.
Actually, can I just let Ms. Emery address that one? Just to give you a heads up on something.
So that one's up. I included it in the email I sent to the distribution list. It's also on the website.
Okay.
And need some feedback.
I noticed that on this agenda where you click on it, it takes you directly to Emery's page. So that was much appreciated. It usually, it is cumbersome to sort of go through the multiple portals. So thank you. That to me is a good change.
I had bookmarked the page in the past for agenda items, but I could see how it's useful. So, but thank you. Yeah.
So we can take that one off as well, if you don't mind.
And then item 13, principals will discuss how volunteers are handled.
May I just ask a quick question? I'm going to address some of these in a memo to you that I haven't been able to finish yet, but Ms. Teemer and I were trying to recall the number 7, the context for the restorative justice, and I just was wondering if anyone could, maybe it was a member Vargas, I couldn't recall.
What I recall from it is, do we have a policy? If we don't, can we try to look into establishing one?
Okay, thank you.
That's the list, existing list. At this time, any new or revised items for that list?
I always continue to wonder about student handbooks or how I know we do some outreach on the internet, but I'm wondering if we have student handbooks or intend to ever have student handbooks or the equivalent.
Sure, maybe Ms. Carter, since you're here, if you don't mind, we'll just touch on the topic since it's not on the agenda.
So yeah, I will be more than happy to go into more detail, but just briefly, so yes, we do have a student handbook. So when Eddie and I started at the beginning of this year, we actually went through it with our office staff, Ms. Parham specifically. So we really went line by line, page by page. Many of the things were outdated, we took out. Also now specifically having a middle school, we made those revisions to really address middle school specifically. And then of course next year we will redraft, like knowing the things that we know, et cetera. But there is absolutely a handbook. It's absolutely available online as well. And then we also gave it out at our orientation that we had. We also gave it out at back to school night. We made copies and put them in all the classrooms for anyone that was not here then. And then also I sat down and made a welcome packet for our new students because I felt like our new families needed to have kind of all the information. And so I made a welcome packet that includes the handbook along with our master schedule, our yearly calendar, information about the after-school program, the lunch application. It's really pretty intensive, and so that also, anytime a new parent registers, they will get the handbook plus those resources. So I really do feel we have made it accessible and continue to try to make it accessible to any new parents.
Where online would I find it?
Truthfully, I would have to look at the tabs. I don't know the tabs by heart.
On the district website or on the
No,
sub-site?
on the Anna Yates.
On the Anna Yates site.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
those two, there's a different handbook for elementary and middle school?
No.
There's one. Okay.
So it's the same one, just if there are variations for middle school, then it just lists that. It'll
Got it.
say elementary TK5 and then middle. So like for instance, we have differentiations within our uniform policy. They have an additional color that they can wear. And so it has my uniform policy in the middle school right below.
Thank you.
Not much more that I need to add because Sam kind of covered it. That's why I love my partner in crime. But again, that we gave it to parents at orientation for the middle school side. It was given to parents at orientation. It was given to parents at our back to school night, along with the PowerPoints that we both created as well. We listed in the PowerPoints that some of the differentiations and the specifics in the handbook for them to refer to along the lines of behavior expectations, uniforms, anything specific to our either the elementary side or the middle school side. And we also let them know that it was available online as well. Okay, thank you.
Well, if the high school has a handbook and is accessible from the district website, where would I find it?
Yes, the high school does have a handbook. We went over it extensively at orientation. You know that we're still getting our website up and running. So once our website is up and running, it will be available through a tab on our website. We're probably about 50 to 70% done with our website. I've met with Corinne a couple of times about it, but it's just not up and running quite yet. But I think within the next probably 2 board meetings, it should be up and available and accessible for the public.
Great, thank you.
All right. Well, I want to mention something for the 3 principals here. Thank you for being here. it's great to see your faces and to hear basically your eyes and ears of the day-to-day operation on the campus. It helps us seeing the progress that we've made as a district and as a conducive environment for learning. And that's a big plus for the students here. I don't know how we could do without you. So I want to commend you on all your efforts. Thank you.
I think we can help by making these meetings a little bit shorter, so we'll work on that also.
All right, if there's nothing else on the future agenda items, or go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask if we can add on future agenda items, like creating a policy for gender identity and expression, like awareness sort of, and maybe provide training for the teachers to be more competent to addressing students who don't identify within general conventions.
That's a great idea.
Could you repeat it? I couldn't hear it. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Maybe to add, to create a policy regarding gender identity and expression to have more like training for teachers to be more responsive to that.
Good. Thank you.
Any others?
No.
Okay, how'd you guys do?
Not so much, but I think it should just be in place.
No? Because you were at the game, right?
Yeah, we lost. Now it's recorded.
All right, any further future agenda items? Mr. Vargas?
Yes, we are, absolutely. And congratulations on making the playoffs. I think you're in the playoffs. Okay.
Less of future agenda items, but more about general questions. Did I hear earlier that were the locks that we spoke about, the high-tech locks, were those for the lockers?
Yes, I will tell you it took some time for me to find the right line symbol where I could buy a license online that would work to be miniaturized and put on the combination lock of each one. I did it in my IT role. And we provided those for all the lockers, the combination lockers that have a master key in the back also for the middle school. We also got locks for the high school lockers and for both the boys and girls gyms. I don't know if the PE teachers will use them this year, but it's something we just didn't get to last year. And so when Eddie Scruggs-Smith, the principal, was asking, hey, the kids are carrying all these books, can we get the locks for them? I thought, well, let's do it. But as usual, I wanted to try to do it right. And I think we did it right.
No, we absolutely did it right because I was feeling the heat from the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, all 100-something plus, were coming at me every week. And I'm like, 5 days, 10 days, 5 days. And they were like, lady, we don't want to hear that from you anymore. And then when they finally showed up, it wasn't as simplistic as we can just give them out. I sat down to support my supervisor and created a spreadsheet. So I had to go through every single lock, create a spreadsheet, identify the code, and then get the combination so that we have something. So I had to do that foundation so next year it should be easier to just distribute the locks. And the best part about this, again, and I think I mentioned this before, is that Dr. Rubio found one that's awesome. I've never seen this before, that it has a key. So worst case scenario, if the student forgets the lock or a student leaves, I can still go and undo the lock with a little key. But again, I have a spreadsheet, it's identified. I had to go and look at all the lockers on the 3rd floor and get a list of all of them, get the code, get the combination. So yeah, 3rd floor is my home. In a minute, I'm gonna need a cot, pillow, if we're asking for supports. I'm just gonna need a living space up there on that 3rd floor. But we are very appreciative, middle school is for those locks. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's hope it doesn't come to you living here. Yeah.
Great, awesome. And then a quick question for Member Ball and Member Solis. Do you have? Does the debate team have uniforms?
We don't yet, but from the debate league, we just received our T-shirts for like the entire league, but we still need to come up with a design.
Okay, great. Let us know if we can help with anything.
Anything else?
The last question was, Ms. Good, with regards to college applications and that entire process, is there anything that you would like more additional help with? Anything you would like to ask the board to make that process even smoother or Is there a wish list that I wish I could do this, but not quite available yet?
Well, we have a number of people who are coming to support, and we also have some supports that are taking place off-site. Like there's a workshop that's taking place this Saturday, and then another one on November 11th. As Ms. Elise said, we have a set of people that are coming on Halloween on October 31st to assist, and we actually have another one in the pipeline. So I think we do have, we can always use more kind of hands-on assistance. Excuse me. Like if somebody would like to come and actually sit with a student and go over their personal statement line by line, sit with a student and go through the actual application and give feedback, and because there are some things that are difficult to navigate. That's always welcome. Anyone who would like to make donations towards our college application fund, we got our first official donation today. Yay! Thank you, Board Member Langer. And so that honestly, I think will probably be the most helpful, because that will enable students who are absolutely deserving and should have all the opportunities in the world to actually, pay for additional schools to apply to. So I think those would probably be our big asks. Oh, if you know anyone or have anyone who would like to come to the site and support students as they apply for scholarships, because one thing is actually applying for the college and university. The scholarship application process is a whole nother beast. So if there's anybody who you know or any organizations who you know, we could bring in to do workshops, who could again do the sit down line by line assistance, anything like that, that would be amazing.
No promises, but I did send a request to the admissions office at Berkeley through the alumni network, hoping that they can, if there's interest, and if they can also come as well, to come talk to parents and have like an college application night or whatnot, and try to give them as many tips as possible. If that's redundant, then I'll say no thank you, but.
There is interest.
Great. I'll keep pushing.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Any others? All right. We can move on to board reports and announcements. Any?
I'll be quick. We attended for once. We attended the Harvest Festival today. We helped set up a tent that we had because we realized it was going to be very warm. So we just happened to have a tent handy, so we helped with that. And everybody helped. There were students helping, parents helping. It was great to see everybody rolling up their sleeves and working for the school and working to build a community. The kids were happy. The volunteers were happy. I did notice, though, that a bulk of the load kind of, with regards to volunteers, sort of leaned towards 2 or 3 parents, mainly the active parent and PTO. So I would very much love to hear your thoughts. Not necessarily right now, but just something to think about, to see how we can bring more parents in and get them more active in the school. I love the change in mindset that we're implementing. It's quite obvious. You can feel it. So maybe along those lines, so that we can drive the message around parent involvement and getting those parents to come to BTO meetings, to come to board meetings, or to come and help and volunteer. That would be, I think, greatly appreciated. Also want to say that it's great changing topics. Great to see that exit interviews are in place now. Thank you, John. It's also very helpful to see. Sorry for nagging, but thank you very much for making these changes on the list of open items. I think we can clearly see the progress now, and that's kind of what we want. That's the whole purpose of this. We need to acknowledge where we need to be acknowledged, and I think these tiny tweaks sort of help us with that. There's a lot of things to be happy about. While we may not be where we want to be, but we're getting there, and I can see that in every day and everybody that's involved. Well, for most of the people that are involved, but I can see that, we can sense that, and it makes me feel very proud to be part of this district, especially as it's moving in the right direction. So thank you all.
Yeah, so like I said, we are having our rally next Friday, so if any of the board members want to come and meet the high school students and to just kind of familiarize yourself with like And it's at 2 to 3:30, I think. And that's gonna just be in the gym, and it's gonna be really fun.
And I'm sorry, it's 2 to 3:30. What was the event? And I'm sorry, I missed it.
The homecoming rally. So
homecoming
that's
rally?
when we just like rally up and have
Great.
a lot of school spirit.
And what day is it on? I'm sorry.
Friday, next Friday, November 3rd.
November 3rd.
So if I can recap, ice cream at 1, rally at 2, next Friday?
The rally is this Friday.
Yeah, maybe at 2:30.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, the rally is this Friday.
The rally is the
Next
day.
Friday.
Oh, next Friday?
Yeah,
The
November
3rd?
3rd.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, the ice cream is tomorrow. Today is Wednesday. The ice cream is the day after tomorrow. The rally is next Friday.
Thank you.
I'm getting all mixed
She's like ice cream
I was gonna
rally.
go for- Can we have ice cream?
Anything else?
No.
Anyone else have anything? I just want to pass on, this item was mentioned in a previous board meeting by Marceline Krafchek, and I want to read her email that she sent to me regarding, let me just read it. It says, I'm following up with my public statement Wednesday evening asking for support in my offer of 3 prizes of $500 each to winners of a competition for the best essay to promote conversations on books, reading, and libraries. What I'm asking for of the board is to at least one of you serve as a judge while I invite someone from the senior center to serve as well. Of course, I'll need some advertising in the school and the community, so that's where you guys come in. Here's how I see the contest developing. Emeryville residents only. Submissions to EUSD, care of essay contest, deadline February 1st, 2018. Results posted March 15th, 2018. And the topic is curiosity. No length minimum, maximum 1,200 words, type double-faced, one-side pages, age categories 17 and under, 18 to 39, and 40 and older. So we might be able to knock 2 stones out, or maybe 3 if a staff member wants to do it. And since this is work in progress, I'll naturally welcome suggestions of any sort. Thanks, Marceline Krafchek. So I'm putting it out there, and we might want to pose questions to her regarding, could it be an Emeryville student? And then even with staff.
I think so, yeah.
And that would probably round up the majority of people on this site. So I think there's an enticement there, so I just wanted to offer it up for consumption and see what you guys think.
I also think it might be more appropriate to have it maybe student judged or have some participation from the students instead of having it hierarchical, where people.
Okay, we'll present that to Ms. Krafchek. That's all I have for board reports. Anyone else have anything? Then we will move to calendar review.
Okay, we have our next and only November meeting on Wednesday, November the 8th. At, I believe that'll be at 6 p.m. And we have Veterans Day observed on November the 10th with no school on November the 10th. That's it.
All right, at this time, we are going to move to closed session.